What is your favorite anime?
Mine's Skrillex.
Skrillex.
I'm so distanced from human sensibilities and stuff.
Was getting caught part of your plan?
Put your tray tables up and your seat in the full upright position, because this is the Flight Plan, the official podcast of Big Guy for You Scanlations, Japan's #1 Bane posting manga scanlation podcast. Join the flight crew, Tom and Aidan, as we bantz about all that anime, all that manga, and all that scanlation content. What are we talking about today, Tom?
Well, today we're talking about the dark, dark secrets that you experience in Japanese class and related activities, I guess.
Is this a full hour-long Sudoku segment? Is this the type of shame we're talking about?
I guess, actually, it's more to point and laugh at others, but there is quite a bit of my own personal shame as well. So it's kind of like, look at these guys and how socially inept and messed up they are. But in so telling these tales, I will tell my own tales in which, I'm equally messed up. And perhaps that's where I belong, This is a tell-all podcast episode here.
Exclusive behind the music documentary on, and in the end, weren't we all the autists? Weren't we all?
I think so, yeah. But before we do that, we've got some top of the show stuff. I'll kick us off with some corrections corner. It's a brief one. I believe I was talking about the RuneScape weapon last episode. The one I meant to refer to, I think, was the Abyssal Whip. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that is a weapon.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't that like the big awesome weapon where it's like if you had that, then you were like the king?
When we were playing, that was the best weapon, and then shortly after we both stopped playing, they introduced Barrow's weapons, I believe it is, where they were actually weapons that had durability and stuff, and they would break, and I didn't like that at the time. Yeah. I don't know if it's Barrow's. It might be something.
Yeah, well, there is a Barrow's weapons, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm looking at a list right now.
Weapons and armor that had durability. Yeah, which was a whole new thing. And the highest bow at the time that we were playing was the crystalline bow, where you didn't need arrows for that, which was the coolest thing. I was like, oh, because I was very Jewish. I didn't want to spend any gold on arrows, so I was like just blowing those off. There's also one. This is a small tidbit, but there's a bow like that in World of Warcraft. It was a legendary bow that just very few people had because it was at the very end of an expansion pack and at the very end raid, and very few people got it, but you didn't have to shoot arrows with it. And I was like, that is the coolest thing. I'd love to shoot magic arrows. That's like my number. That's a trope that I really like.
Well, that's why what's his name from Bleach was the coolest dude. Ishida, I think, was his name. Dude, I thought he was the coolest character. He had a magic bow. The whole thing was like magic. It's not just the arrows. The thing also with the crystal bow in RuneScape is that I think you had to recharge it. Yeah, the arrows are free, but I do remember some kind of recharge. I never had it, but just from reading online.
Yeah, well, it's like with durability weapons, you do need to repair them if you're lucky and they don't just be destroyed like in Fire Emblem. If you can recharge them, I'm sure it's it's kind of like reloading them. I don't know what it was in RuneScape. If you had to go get a brand new bow, that would really be bad. But if you could recharge it with something, I'm sure you could.
I feel like it was a gold cost, so it's you still end up effectively buying arrows. I could be misremembering.
Yeah, see, I love the things where you don't need arrows, or it's you can just save economical costs. In fact, if I play Fire Emblem and there's a weapon that has infinite uses, I will never not use that.
Yeah, actually, that's what I liked about If, because they added in. Well, actually, they got rid of weapon durability, because whenever I play any other Fire Emblem game, my problem is I only buy iron weapons, and I hoard the magic end game final boss weapons. Never use them.
Wait, are you telling me there's a Fire Emblem where they don't have durability on the weapons?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Actually, there's two to my knowledge. There's Gaiden, which was remade. I think it was called Fire Emblem Echoes Gaiden, maybe. It was a remake for the 3DS. And then there was If, which was the one where it's the two houses, and it's the Pokemon model where you have to buy the game 3 times.
No, wait. I played that one with Conquest and Birthright.
I guess, yeah. The
it
one
doesn't
with
have durability? I played that one. It's got durability.
No, it doesn't.
Oh man, I can't believe that. I don't remember that. Well, the more you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's enough JRPG talk. So how about some other J talk? Do we have any other related stuff?
I don't understand the segment with J talk. What would
I don't know.
Like?
Japanese part of because it's like manga or something.
Well, you started with like that's enough this talk. How about some of this talk? And I thought you had a really good segue into the comments corner. But I guess
no.
I guess this is the segment.
Because I forgot your other top of the show thing was the comments corner. But I guess the other top of the show stuff I had was Japanese related, at least tangentially. But let's do the comments corner.
Like normal, we have thousands of comments every week on our myriad of different episodes, but we'll just hit the highlights this week. We have a number one passenger this week, and that is our fan favorite, Nikki. And on our Translating Bowsette Comics video, the comics that Nintendo doesn't want you to know about, Nikki said...
is that what you ended up calling it?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
This is a great one, yeah. He says, cashing in on those sweet Bowsette memes I see, Aidan, and gave me a little Lenny face, which is always appreciated. I said, Nikki, you've caught me red-handed. I said I had something to do with, but it had something to do with the 600 Bowsette images I downloaded, which is...
Hold on. I contest this entire exchange here. This was 100% Tom venture here.
Look,
I don't think you had anything to do with this.
He knew who propositioned you to do that. You would not have done anything. It was my idea. After I had sent you 40 plus Bowsette images.
Well, you and everyone else under the sun, yeah, but I mean...
Oh, you don't have any friends to send you Etche images? Who else is going to be sending you... I sent you all the untranslated comics.
No, I found those on Pixiv.
I sent them to you beforehand. I'm sure, let the record show that I sent you multiple. I even made a Facebook page called Bowsette. I own the Bowsette Facebook page.
Well, one of a million.
Yeah, I haven't posted much, but I do get a notification that I get a new follower every day. But even though I haven't posted anything,
I imagine the meme is dead by now, right? Do you still see it?
It's slowing down, but it's not dead at all. It's still going strong, and there's still new stuff. Yeah, it's still going. I don't understand my fascination with it either, but it's high tier. This is the year of the meme.
Every year's the year of the meme.
On the How to Get Good episode, last week's episode of the podcast, I said, ever so tiny audio glitch towards the end. Drop syllables in a few sentences. Ironic for the episode about quality. It's a meta-level metaphor for the futile nature of attempting to achieve perfection. And
very deep.
Yeah, and our deepest passenger, Nikki, replies, too deep for me. And
hopefully we won't have those problems with this episode too. I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah, so hopefully we will not. We've taken extra steps to not do it, and there will be extra steps taken during the editing process to not do it, but it's a work in progress. So we appreciate you bearing alongside with us just the small audio glitches that we have to do. We are Japan's number one podcast, but they're not in the 21st century yet. So we're all dealing with all this. I mean,
they fax stuff all the time in business.
Yeah, exactly. So they still use fax machines. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And I guess that'll be it for the highlighted comments corner. This is the best comments. If you decide that you want to leave a comment on the YouTube, if it's good, we read it. And not good as in praising us. Good as in quality. If you say like, "Sup, G? Let me tell you about MC," or something like that. I don't know.
If you say, "Oh, nice."
Well, we apparently read those too.
I still have a couple more things that really aren't top of the show appropriate, but they're not related to the topic, so I kind of just want to jump into them anyway. This is kind of a follow-up here to, was it, I guess, 2 episodes ago when we were talking about seasonal anime? Because now this is the first week in which episodes are coming out. And there was one show that I forgot to talk about. I must have missed it when we were looking at the chart. I think it's called Umi to Sora no Aida, like between the sea and the sky or whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't speak Japanese, so I didn't know that.
Okay. I mean, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, it's like, well, you said it between the sea and the sky. Like,
all right. I didn't mean to come off like that, but
like everybody knows it's cool.
But anyway, the premise, I don't have it pulled up, sadly. I didn't have the foresight to pull it up, but the premise is like the oceans have been fished out, so in order to preserve fish life,
this guy has to get with his sister, right, to preserve the fish life. That's
I don't think it's based off a light novel.
He gets reincarnated as fish.
Yeah, and he has to bang his mermaid cousin sister. No, they have like these
Dude,
giant.
I'd read that.
I know, everyone would. It would get 1 million views. I would scanlate it too. We would get they have like giant orbs of like fish tanks out in space, and then they have little girls who are astronauts go into these orbs and fish.
Oh my god!
And all the fish are like monster beasts.
I think I'm on board. You said little girls. I'm on board.
No. This is really, really stupid. It's really, really stupid. So the whole premise, it's like, well, why have little girls? Why not have like hardcore fishermen and stuff? Like the deadliest catch is one of the most dangerous like jobs. That's why it's a TV show. So why do you have like high school girls? Well, the reason is this is like the canonical given reason. It has something to do with affirmative action laws. Yeah, I mean, they don't really make like a huge deal out of that, but this is only based on episode 1, of course. But it seems like it might be a new law, so like the girl squads aren't well respected by like the male squads. I don't know. It seems like it'll be like a girl power kind of thing, but that's like a sub issue. The main thing, they have these little solo piloted like little tiny ships that they like swim around in, and I'm pretty sure this is based on a gacha game. So this is like the first red flag, maybe like the 10th red flag.
It's based on a game?
It's gotta be, dude, because they put their smartphones in the center console of their little craft, and then they tap on a stupid little app, and it says pick your guardian deity. Like what?
Oh my god!
I'm piloting a fisherman ship. What do you mean a guardian deity? So it's like, oh, dude, it's so stupid. They have like little gods on the screen. You tap one, and then you get like different weapons on your ship. If I'm hunting sea creatures or whatever, these leviathans, give me all the weapons. How are you manifesting one weapon? What is this technology? Are they literal deities? I don't understand this, dude. But if not for that, I would probably watch episode 2.
This is retarded.
But the fact that it's got to be a gacha game, I know it has to be. But that alone
would have
makes
been
me
great
want to watch
is
it.
If we did any research. What is this called? Do you know?
Yeah, I actually have the Wikipedia page open.
Is it based off a gacha game? Like I'm like dying to know.
Here we go.
Are they gonna?
It primarily consists of a smartphone game released for Android and iOS.
Oh, what do you know?
See, boom, because it's so blatant. It's terrible. But it would have been okay maybe without that little gimmick.
Dude, okay, so blatant doesn't matter because we loved Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid. I watched Pokemon
as a singular kid.
Yeah.
We loved Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid when we were a symbiotic creature.
Few people know that we are actually symbiotic twins. Like, when we
we're
were
like brothers,
removed,
but closer. You know,
when we were mechanically connected in that fashion, Yu-Gi-Oh was awesome. Like that was a great anime on its own. Maybe that's for nostalgia goggles, but it was awesome. And it's like I didn't think it was forced. That sounds so incredibly forced that I can't even imagine. Like that's a dumb plot point. It doesn't make sense. Like
if
you're out there, imagine if you're out there doing anything in the world, like anything in your real job, like you're stocking the shelves at a Publix or something, and or a grocery store, and you're like, how many? I gotta roll the dice to see how many cans of beans I can stack.
Well, no, it doesn't seem like there's a random element, but they each had to pick a different guardian spirit. So it's like, my problem with it is, if you have these magical god powers, like you said, why not use those to stack, your your cans at the grocery store.
You're going to roll your dice. How many cans do I get to stack? Oh, 3 cans. Yeah.
Again, it's not like a dice roll. At least that's...
I know,
it's more
but
like pick your
similar.
guardian spirit and then like how do you stack them with like a twin battle axe or like or a club or I don't know.
I see. I have no idea what this anime even is. I've never seen any of it, but going into it, I know exactly. I can feel it already. I can see it in my mind's eye. Yeah,
you already know what it is. But what made me want to watch it was because it was a picture of like girls in space, and I was like, oh, it could be like cute girls doing space stuff. It almost is, but it's so soulless and terrible.
Well, they gave me the Moe girls, and they're like, maybe if we make an anime, somebody will spend $5 on the app. Yeah, there's a whale joke to be made somewhere in there. Space whales.
Yeah, well, also like phone gotcha game whales, as they're called.
Cool. So, do we have a transition to that?
Yeah, I also have one more anime I want to talk on real quick. I know this isn't a seasonal anime episode, but it is now.
Hey, that was our most popular episode.
So. I told you, it's all about trend surfing. And now we're actually on time with it. So this next one, if I post it online anywhere, like if I were part of internet fora or like Discords, I would
Look
be
how fancy you are.
Well, I do it in the same way that people say like syllabi instead of like syllabuses. Like it's like being purposefully obtuse.
Internet forums. Forums is the plural.
I'm the kind of guy who says criterion to mean singular criteria. Unrelated, I will say robot instead of robot.
He does.
Or I picked this up from a podcast I used to listen to, Gerbil instead of gerbil. Anyway, this one, I would be shilling this name for it everywhere because this is like such an ironic, stupid thing to call it. The Dark Souls of anime. That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, excellent.
It's Goblin Slayer. I watched episode 1 today.
Oh, yes. I've read almost all the chapters of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like it's going to be good. And they do 3D. The 3D that they do is like really tasteful, really well done. And that's like not sarcasm or anything.
I like it a lot. Yeah, so what happens... Okay, I know this episode isn't about Goblin Slayer, but like what happens in the first episode of Goblin Slayer? I haven't seen it.
All right. Yeah, it's not really spoilers for anyone listening because it's episode 1. But so they introduce the priest girl. She parties up with like the 3 other people. They get destroyed and killed in like a goblin tunnel.
And raped, right?
Yeah. They don't technically show rape, but they heavily imply
They don't show it, but yeah, they super imply it. Like it's like...
That's the thing. Like the clothes got ripped off and stuff, and like
it's like the goblins will not only like kill you dead, like actually kill you, which is more than what most isekais and things like that will do to you. But like they'll like totally destroy. Like it's not good. Like these goblins are ultimately subverting and like just destroying society.
Like, you did this joke, but. I kind of went in knowing that it was going to be brutal and gruesome, but I don't know, something about it. It was almost off-putting, but I've been desensitized by enough other media that, it was fine. But, just to finish off what happened, the Goblin Slayer came in, he saved the priest girl, killed all the goblins in the little goblin hovel, and then it ended with him at like the quest, I don't know, pub? What are they called? Like the quest board?
Hub.
Yeah.
H-U-B.
And
H-U-B. Hub.
Oh, okay. I think you said like Ichubi or something, like some weird Japanese word.
Ichubi. Itsudakamase.
I wouldn't put it past anybody involved in that exchange. That was kind of an autistic sentence format, but that's okay. Anyway, it ends with him at like the receptionist, and then like the priest girl comes in and she's like, look, I bought chainmail like he told me to. Hey, are you going to go kill goblins today? Let me come with you. And then credits.
Best girl.
Only girl who's still alive.
That's true,
so
yes.
Far.
The only girl who's not been literally raped to death.
Well, it's weird. They stabbed the mage girl like right in the gut. And then like 5 minutes later, they went to rape her. It seems like,
well,
I don't know, just a weird priorities.
For goblins, that doesn't matter.
I guess not. I think the worst part about it in terms of like the gore, it's just there's an element of shame. It's like, how are you going to get beat or bested by like 3-4 little goblins? It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, it goes above the idea that they're like level 5 and you're level 2. Like, it's like they're so short, like they're little manlets that like, can't you just push them over? But they're deadly. Like, they're very quick. They're very, like, that's the whole thing. It's kind of almost a metaphor of like, don't underestimate people. Don't underestimate manlets.
Be careful of who you make fun of in high school, because then he'll grow up to be whatever, however that joke goes.
Okay, now this is epic, but absolutely.
I was taking a sip. That was dangerous.
Sips boy. Hey, you gotta be careful with their sips boys over here. Like,
no, I sip water. I don't participate in monster viral marketing.
Yeah, dude, that's the most successful viral marketing campaign ever.
I know it is. That's why I don't want to perpetuate it. Oh shoot! I still have one more top of the show thing. We're like halfway through the episode.
Let's do it. Let's go. Full on.
We're not going to talk about Japanese.
42 minutes in.
No, we're not. Don't say that. So I was playing. I was playing the demo for Octopath Traveler on my Nintendo Switch.
That's the sequel to Octodad.
See, the memes have ruined the Switch as a console for me.
I just picture you having your mouth open at the time.
Yeah, and a beard and like glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my pajamas on Christmas morning.
with your wife and sons Trayvon and Martin.
Yeah, and I and I just got a vasectomy. and when I was being operated on, I had the time to download the demo for Octopath Traveler because I wanted to play a JRPG. And anyway, it defaulted. I downloaded it in Japanese, and it defaulted to English voiceovers, which is kind of weird, really. But dude, my mind was so blown in the difference between the Japanese text and the English localization. So I wrote down a couple examples here because it was so crazy to me, the difference here. I will admit that I think the localization is a little bit ham-fisted or something, maybe overdone. But here, let me give you an example, and these are kind of literal translations that I'll be providing for the Japanese text. So we have a conversation between like the hunter girl and like her master. She says something, whatever, and then he says, "Ah ha ha ha! Don't worry, I'm your master, aren't I?" That's like the Japanese, and you know that. I mean, that's comprehensible. He's saying like, "Don't worry about me," you know, like, look, I'm a boss. But then the English translation is, "Ah ha ha, looking not so glum, girl. I'm no tyro with green arrows and bruises on his bow arm." Like, what the heck, dude? Wow. They just like expanded that to some Shakespearean level. Like, I've always been under the assumption here that English is so much more expressive than Japanese. And I've always chalked that up to thinking, I always assumed that I thought that because of my, I've always assumed that that was because I know English to such a higher level than I know Japanese. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to think otherwise.
I've seen a couple scenarios where that does seem to be the case, where they may have expressive scenarios in areas that we don't necessarily think of. Like, there's more nuance in areas that aren't. Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to give them
points. Yeah, I haven't seen them either. Like, I've always seen like the translation of a sentence into something like really bland. The thing that comes up with me is like they have the sentence object nuances in it, which makes it more interesting. That's the number one thing that I've seen.
You mean like implications or something, like dropped words?
Yes, where they have dropped words that imply nuance and or ambiguity, where the context of the sentence matters. Like, they can say "I love," and it will imply you or whatever.
Well, they just say love at that point, like, and it could just be like "I love you." Yeah.
Yeah, it means like I love whatever we're doing. I love the current environment, I love this snail over here on the ground, or I love you, which is the number one thing that most people might see in some type of rom-com if they have the same type of trash tastes as I do.
Well, here's another example that I have written down. She's complaining, it's like, to the master, it's like, look, you gamble a lot, and it's like, last time you went on a trip, you gambled away all your money and you came back poor. And then the Japanese, he says something like, well, that. It's even more literally, it's like, that, ... I'm sure you've seen that a lot, like in translations and stuff. Or no, it's like, that's ... That's technically a different Japanese word, but whatever. Anyway, he says, well, that in Japanese. But then in the English dub, he says, poorer in coin, mayhap. It's like, dude. It's like,
that's a full sentence, yeah.
And they're adding, like, implications and, like, stuff like that. Like, there was another, I didn't write down the exact one, but it says something like, oh, I'll be back in no time. But in English, he says, like, I'll be back before 2 moons pass. It's like, whoa. Yeah, they're technically adding. In fact, the English is so much higher quality than the Japanese that I question if it was written in English first and then translated into Japanese. Because they have so much added detail and stuff like that. Like the 2 moons thing, it's like, what if that doesn't line up with the timeline? You can't just add that as a random translator kind of thing normally. I would think so.
What do you mean to add to the timeline?
Well, so in the Japanese, if the Japanese is the original text, he says, I'll be back shortly or I'll be back soon. But then in the English, the line was, I'll be back before 2 moons pass. Well, it's like, what if canonically he's out for like 5 months, or what if the trip canonically was like 1 month? Do you know what I mean? Like, where'd that 2 moons come from?
Yeah, I could see that. It could be like a fortnight or like two evenings.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, no matter what the time is, as an English translator coming from the Japanese, they're inserting in that 2 moons. That's what blew my mind. I don't know, man. It's just, it had such an impact on me, just the possibilities of like translation being not literal at all. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of times people don't even want to be literal. They just want to get the gist out.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the ideal. But this took it to such an extra level. At least that's how it came across to me. But it, like, oh, dude, it's that Sam Hyde quote again, where it's like, you're astrally projecting, you're getting high off the sound of my voice, or you're getting high off of the sound of the translation. It's like, whatever it was, my mind was opened to new possibilities.
Speaking of opening your mind to new possibilities, I think that segues perfectly into the idea of learning at a school. And the best thing to learn at a school is Japanese.
You're doing like some kind of movie trailer voice. In a world where you take Japanese class, what sort of ne'er-do-wells do you encounter?
In a world where you only watch anime.
Oh, it's called heaven.
Oh god, that's it's not hell, but it's at least purgatory.
At least, yeah. It's real life, it's the suffering of real life. So
what better parallels the suffering of real life than going into anime class? Now, Tom, you took an anime class. What does anime class mean to you?
So I technically took 3 anime classes, and I've briefly talked about the basics that I've taken them before. I took level 1, I took level 2, and while I was taking level 2, I audited level 4. And the only reason I took level 2 was because I was stealing the class of level 4, and it was like an honor kind of thing where it's like I don't know if that even makes sense to you, but it made sense to me.
Well, the Japanese appreciate the honor. They perform Sudoku when they need to ritually suicide themselves. It's a big, it's the culture of honor. So you took Japanese 4 in the vein of being honorable to your sensei. Is that correct?
Something like that. So the idea there was like I was paying for and officially enrolled in level 2, but simultaneously I was sitting in on a level 4 class, like during the same semester. Anyway, when you think of Japanese class, what do you imagine? Because I bet you're right.
Naruto headbands everywhere.
All right, well, okay, to be fair, I don't know if anybody actually wore Naruto headbands in my class.
I don't have anything. I'm just waiting to see what type of headbands they are wearing.
The closest thing to a headband was the robotic cat ears. And I think I've mentioned it before. I think they had like a remote control where they could like move. It was really weird and off-putting.
That's beyond a Naruto headband. If you have cat ears that are mechanical and like battery powered and remote controlled, that's a different level than a Hidden Valley Hidden Valley Ranch headband. Like that's.
Well, let me flip your mind here. I think it's kind of like a gender-based thing. Headbands are more of like a dude thing, right? Have you ever seen a girl weeaboo who goes around wearing like a Naruto headband all the time? Probably not.
Yes, but the girl weeaboos are not an example that you want to parody. So.
Well, this is my point, because the one with the cat ears was a girl, and I feel like you would never see a guy wearing those.
I mean, so those FLCL headsets where it's a audio headset with the speakers that come out of the cat ears on top?
Maybe, yeah.
I've seen people wear those in real life. Twice. One was a female, but one was a male. So, possibly.
Was he a normal male?
No. And
Other than the weeaboo part.
It was also not a normal female that wore those. So.
Other than the weeaboo part, though. Like, were they otherwise mentally not all there?
They were outside, which was rare.
Like, you mean physically outside?
Physically outside of their house, yes.
Which
seemed very rare for somebody wearing those cat ear headsets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that being weird. If you buy those or anything like that, you should wear them in the shame-free zone of your own home. Don't take that outside.
I like the problem is I really do like the idea of them. I think it's cool. If it wasn't like so tarred and feathered with the idea of being a weeaboo, there's a lot of anime stuff that I'd wear if people didn't know it was anime stuff. Like
the Antarctica girl's jacket.
Exactly.
Still want to get but I can't, because then a new low for me in a weeaboo status, and I can't do that to myself. All right, well, hard segue back into the topic here. So my first day of level 1. You
took yourself to a new level?
Yeah, I guess so. That makes it more of a soft segue than you ruined the hard segue. So this was years ago, to be honest. I don't remember the entire cast of characters, but one guy who stuck out to me, he's kind of what you'd expect. Do you remember back in Teen Titans, like Control Freak was his name? He was like a neckbeard kind of.
Oh yeah, he had a remote as a superpower.
Yeah, or Chumley, is that the guy's name from Pawn Stars?
Yeah.
In my mind, this guy looked, I guess, more like Chumley than Control Freak. He had some kind of tattoo on his arm, like his forearm. No, that would be German class. This was Japanese class.
Oh,
the other Axis power.
It was a Hamel and Sickle.
A Hamel and Sickle, no, it's Chinese class. A Hamel and Sickle.
Sickle.
I never read it because I never got a good view on it.
You never go on Reddit,
Japanese.
Right?
Yeah, I never read it, guys. Stay off of Reddit. No, I swear if I had to guess, it was his name, but it was Japanese font, some kind of text. It's my biggest regret of Japanese class, not reading whatever was on this guy's arm. And of course, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, weird when I say it like that. But I didn't have many regrets. I guess it's the
no regrets.
That's how I live my life.
No regrets except Caesar reading this guy's stats.
Well, it's a mean-spirited regret, because I want to in my mind, I want to take him down a peg. It's not that funny. Like I said, this episode will reveal that I'm actually the most mentally unstable person of everyone that I make fun of. Sadly, level 1 didn't have a whole lot of stories in it, because I was kind of... Sadly, the biggest takeaway from this whole level 1 was that my biggest goal in there was to try to not be a weeaboo outwardly, while simultaneously trying to not be that guy who's like the show-off who knows it all. because I went into level 1. I think I was like a year into my studies. I knew everything in there. It's easy, you know, it's baby tier. But I didn't want to come off like that. So it was a really tough challenge to do, and I probably failed.
I remember you talking about a story one time, I don't know if it's on the podcast or not, where you said you were doing a test in Japanese class, and you ended up finishing before the guy even like passed every test sheet out to everybody else.
Yeah. It was I guess, to be fair, it was probably like a minute or two after he finished, but I mean, it's like half a page, like super easy stuff. It was probably like the first couple of weeks where it's just like, what is this character? Like, how do you pronounce this character? Really easy stuff. And I felt kind of cool about it, but I also felt kind of bad because like one dude that I like briefly talked to here and there throughout the semester, he was like, man, this is so hard, man. This stuff is tough. I don't mean to do the mocking voice, you know.
Yeah, but you just did automatically.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's the other person voice in your head.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mean. Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, if you're learning something new, then it's not easy necessarily.
And to be fair, you were already like high level at the point. It's like if somebody were to come to us right now asking about how to, like, what is a cat in English? You know, it's 3 letters, dude. Just like.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like if you're in calculus class and you're going moonlighting in some kind of algebra class, it's like, yeah, it's going to be easy for you. But if you're taking algebra for the first time, yeah, it might be hard. So I don't mean to belittle them. I mean, you know, level 1 guys shouldn't know. It should be.
We're good people. I
wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. But anyway, he was saying, man, this is so hard. I was like, yeah, you know, you just gotta study. He's like, man, but you know it all, dude. And I was like,
You're like, I do.
I've been found out.
I am the alpha weeaboo.
Jumping ahead to like when I was in level 4, somebody's like, man, how do you know all this stuff? I was like, oh, you know, I don't know. I just read manga and stuff. And it's true. I mean, most of what I know, other than cramming all the kanji in the beginning, most of what I knew was from reading JoJo Part 3. Like at that point. But no. When you're taking a class, nobody does homework. Nobody studies outside of class unless you actually want to, in which case you're not going to take the class unless you want an easy A like I did. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's kind of like...
It's a catch-22 at that point.
Yeah, it is. Oh, and also, I guess to kind of tie into that, how I tried to not be a show-off, maybe this kind of worked against my favor in terms of that plan. But like early on, maybe day 1, the teacher's like, the sensei was like, who here has studied any Japanese before? I did not raise my hand. I don't know if I should have or not.
Probably should have. Just to be honest about it. Be like, no, I've never. I like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe
this is my first day. You know? I don't know anything.
What's a Tomogachi?
Yeah, I like Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, you destroyed those kids. Those poor little freshmen that you destroyed.
Yeah. I feel bad about it. I tried to help though. You know, in level 1, we had like a vocab sheet. This was early on in the semester, maybe even before the first or second test. We had a list of words, and it was like, you know, here's some words you guys need to remember. And this was given out by the professor. So what I did was I made an Anki deck out of those words, and then I emailed it to like the class, which was probably a bad idea too, because it's like a try-hard kind of thing. But I was like, hey, you know, guys, you know, if you want to learn vocab, here's a nice program. I've used it before. I recommend it. And then I said, here's like a deck of all the words that we have to learn right now. Give it a shot, maybe, if you want to. And see, it was kind of naive of me, because nobody in the class actually wanted to study. They didn't want to learn. They just wanted to know so they could watch their cartoons.
I could segue into a thing here. Like, class, dude, when you first go to first year of college, for the most part, and I don't want to age myself because I'm definitely not a 30-year-old boomer. People, when you first go to college, you think it's high school, and you think college classes are there to teach you things. No, college classes are there to answer your questions from a self-taught lecture. You are supposed to teach yourself things. And
dude.
College classes are not there to teach you anything. College classes are not there. No. The teachers can't teach you anything. They're retarded. There's
with every school though. I mean, it's high school plus.
Yeah, but it's like even in high school though, it's not there to teach you anything. You're supposed to teach yourself from the textbook and like from other resources, and then ask the professor.
Okay,
They're not there to teach you anything. They cannot impart if you don't want to learn.
The idea though is that they do teach you, but the reality is that you have to learn on your own. That's what you're saying, and I do agree with that.
Possibly, yeah. So I think we're reaching a common ground in that point.
Mm-hmm,
yes.
Because the idea is like you go through 4 years of schooling of college, and then you actually know something about whatever your major was. Because you need to actually learn stuff on your own and pay thousands of dollars a year just to get a stupid piece of paper. Like school doesn't teach you anything. Maybe we didn't go to like a high tier school, but I bet even those are trash. It's all about connections that you make, and they don't tell you that.
I don't know if it's doxing, but we both went to a very highly respectable.
Is it?
Yeah, that's one of the top in the state.
Wow.
And both of us did. And it's trash. College education is pretty much garbage.
Yeah, but you need to do it for the paper.
Yeah, it's just to say, yeah, I went and pretended to be an adult for 4 years. Or 7 years, depending on who you are.
Yeah, I took 5, but I changed majors halfway through, and
Likewise, I have the same excuse.
Hey, the average for my degree was 4 to 5, and 5 is within 4 to 5. So there you go.
The average of mine doctorate program was 10 years, and I was able to do it in 4.5. So I think I was pretty good.
Very impressive.
Yeah, you can call me Dr. Aidan.
Mm-hmm.
I expect to see that in the comments.
No, don't. Talking about showing off, though, and talking about tests as well, this was another level 1 anecdote. When we were learning numbers, and maybe even like times, like how to tell time, on that test, there was one where it says 12 o'clock, and it meant noon. But it didn't say AM or PM, and I could not remember the word for noon. So I wrote the word for like midnight. I wrote like 3 different equivalent possibilities for 12, and I felt so bad about it because it's like I was still trying to hide my power level, even like to the teacher. Like I don't know. I feel like it's rude if you take a level 1 class and you already know everything in there. It's rude.
It's not like you can skip classes though.
I mean, you could possibly test out. But I
like how would you even know how to do that though if you're a newbie?
Yeah, I feel bad about stupid stuff that I shouldn't. It's just part of my weird mental problems.
Mm-hmm. Autism, they call it.
Yeah, that's what we call it, certainly. But I got the points for it. So that's what matters. Even though I didn't remember the word for noon, I still got credit for it, and I think that's really the lesson to take away from this. I don't know. How do you make a lesson out of that?
I don't know. I was waiting for you. You said that was the lesson.
Even when you're, I was hoping you would come up with some kind of pill. Even when you're wrong, you can be right.
Even when you're wrong, just pretend you're right until the professor says, "Oh well, I guess you are."
Yeah.
Just keep insisting. Insist that you're right.
One of my answers was even the transliteration of nude. I don't know why that stuck with me.
It's in the katakana in.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
well, it was in UUN basically. Anyway, that was level 1. Pretty nice, pretty easy. Level 2, there were a couple things that really, I think are highlights. In school, at least, and probably out in the real world if I talk to people, I had this ability, you might call it, where autistic and or damaged and or whatever people would flock to me thinking like I was a friend or something. Maybe they saw something like maybe they saw something in me that reminded them of themselves.
A mirror.
So like when we were doing like pair projects, because we were working out of the book Genki, which is like it has a lot of like say this sentence with your partner and have them say this sentence to you, those kind of exercises. And I would not infrequently get partnered with this one guy in the class. This is level 2, mind you. I swear I never heard him say a single word of Japanese. He couldn't do it. He had this mental block I can relate to a degree because it pains me whenever I speak Japanese. I feel like I'm a try-hard weeaboo. And this podcast has actually been good therapy for helping me to slowly get over that. But anyway, this guy, like I said, never even said a word. How did he make it to level 2? I don't get it. You have to talk to get points. Like, it's great points.
He just had all the points. He had like 100% on all the written exams. And then in the final, when he had to speak, he was just quiet and stared down the teacher.
I don't know, because I honestly don't remember, but I'm under the impression that he didn't know his stuff either. Like, he wasn't good at it. Like, he just got, like, I don't know, like, he just got points somehow, like pity points. The teacher didn't want to fail a student, so he passed him or something.
And that's how I get all my girlfriends. No, I'm gonna I need people. I need people to think that I'm handsome and charismatic.
Right. If you even mention that you have girlfriends, then you won't be relatable to the audience. So you can't talk about that. I don't know. It's just something about that guy. He eventually like dropped the class, I assume. Halfway through the semester, he just stopped showing up. I don't know. Maybe he got killed. We'll never know. Maybe if you're listening out there, guy, I don't know who you were, what your name was, but you know who you are.
Write into the podcast, and we'll do an interview.
Yeah, we could do it over text. You know, we'll do it through emails, so you don't have to speak, because I know that's tough for you. But
it's tough for me.
It was tough for me too, because I had a different professor for level 2. Level 1 and level 4 were the same professor, but then level 2 was like a different one. The level 2 one had us do lots of skits, and she even filmed one of them, which made me really uncomfortable.
It was really uncomfortable when you had to take clothes off, and she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, well, penis inspection day. Yeah, that was pretty. It was kind of uncomfortable, but I mean, by the time you make it to college, you've been through so many that it's kind of routine.
Yeah, like I know my first semester of college, I had 5 penis inspection days, and I was is this average? And it, I went and looked online. I was like, for America, this is pretty standard. Like we all have to go through.
No, you're like, is this average? Or your teacher busted out the ruler and said, oh yeah, just about.
Savage.
How is average savage, dude? That's normal. Like, it's not shameful to be average.
Well,
you don't need to feel bad about yourself.
Next.
So that was level 2. And then level 4. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but our school had a study abroad blog kind of thing where the students who were studying abroad for that semester would blog about their experiences.
I didn't know that at all.
I was maybe one of the 5 readers of it. I bet you nobody other than family read it, and me. And because I always wanted to study abroad, like some kind of like, I don't know, cultured student or whatever.
I studied lots of broads.
Nice, dude. You gotta. I made that joke so many times.
Dabbing.
In fact, after freshman year, me and my roommates at the time, we were thinking, let's all try to study abroad. They wanted to go to London, which is like, whatever. I guess it was slightly better back then, but I would have done it though if we eventually decided not to, as plans always fall apart, plans of that ilk. But anyway, I was reading the study abroad, and one of them was in Japan. He was in my level 4 class that next semester, which was kind of interesting. And I don't really have anywhere to go with that anecdote, but I was always kind of jealous of him, even though I would say my skills were better in terms of like reading. I bet since he actually spoke with people that his speaking was better. And that's always been my problem. I never speak Japanese. I only read it. So school doesn't help you for that either. You need to actually talk to people.
What you need to do is go on chat roulette in Japan style.
Wear your headband and say "sugoi desu," and then
whip your headband out on live stream.
Yeah. Maybe don't do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't do that if you're under 18, definitely.
Probably.
And don't do that if you're over 18 either. Just don't do it.
Well, if you're under 18, leave a comment. If you're over...
Excuse me? I don't know where you're going with that, but I think I see red and blue lights flashing outside your window. Warp, warp.
Pull over.
Oh, anyway, level 4 was kind of cool, but honestly, even that, like, I didn't really learn anything. I learned like a couple grammar points. I hate to do this, where it's like this episode's just me bragging about like how much more efficient my self-study was.
My face when I'm so intelligent.
Yeah. Me, an intellectual. Was taking that one though, since I was taking a busy semester that semester, so I ended up skipping like halfway through. I don't know if anybody in the class knew that I was auditing, so it might have looked weird that like I didn't show up for like the final, or I didn't show up for half a class. I didn't do the presentations. One of the presentations was like tell like a story in Japanese about, I think it was like a trip that you took, and it didn't even have to be real. So I made like a stupid one. I did like a little PowerPoint. I made it up of like a trip of going to the moon, or like how to go to the moon, just as a stupid joke. And I didn't want to actually give the presentation because, much like my kindred spirit, super autist guy from level 2, the guy who can't speak, I did not want to do public speaking, especially in Japanese.
Oh, see, you're supposed to do that though. Like I can't believe he gave you an audit if you didn't even do that. Like you're supposed to just do it pass fail.
No, audits. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. I just sat in there. I didn't take a grade. It's not on my record anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is technically like maybe not illegal, but like it's not allowed within school rules. Do you know what I mean?
You're gonna be arrested after this, yeah.
Oh yeah, come get me, dude. I don't care. I'll fight off any school cop.
Fight off the feds.
Any Paul Blart school cop. I'll fight you. Kick you off your Segway. I was mentally prepared. I went to class that day. This was maybe even before I started skipping a lot. Some dude gave like the same premise as his presentation that day. So I was like,
waifus?
No, about going to the moon. Yeah, so he gave his presentation on basically the same topic that I did, which was like a completely out of left field idea anyway. I mean, it's not like a creative genius kind of idea, but if you're talking about like, oh, the one trip that I took to, I don't know, Spain or whatever, like that's what everyone else was talking about. And so it's like, who thinks up going to the moon? Well, me and this other stupid guy. He did his, and I couldn't do mine. I got cold feet, and I ended up not giving a presentation.
I swear, baby, this never happens.
But here's how I mentally justified it in my mind. Since I wasn't part of the class, I didn't want to take up everyone else's time who was paying for the class.
No, wow. That's like
you see what I mean? You see what I mean, though? But there's a sick, twisted logic to it.
There's a sick, twisted, like, coping logic to it. Like, that's obviously not why that happened.
Who can say for sure?
I can't.
Why things transpired the way they did? I don't think so. We'll never know.
I know already. All the passengers know.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of it for school. So, unfortunately, there weren't a whole lot of crazy weirdos and super weeaboos. I mean, everyone was a weeaboo basically, but they weren't like talking to the teacher. They weren't saying like, did you watch the last episode of Zatch Bell?
Were they talking about like Avatar, The Last Airbender as the best anime, or like Shrek?
Oh yeah. I think this predated Shrek as a meme, really.
As a meme for sure, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure Shrek was already out, but Shrek didn't become a meme until like Shrek came out in like 2000.
We were like in middle school or elementary school. Yeah.
Don't date us like that. I still want to be attractive to young girls. Like I don't need to say that I'm like 40 years old.
Men age like a fine wine.
That's true. I am a fine Merlot.
I'm a fine 2% milk. I don't know any wines, but I'm a good one. That's the one that I am. There you go.
You're a good sangria.
I don't know. Take out what I said because it's probably wrong.
A milk? Yeah, milk's not a wine.
Oh shoot! I had no idea.
You're the McPoyles.
Well, what is like raw milk? Isn't that something like weird where it's like illegal to buy
raw
for
milk.
Human consumption?
Yeah, it's not pasteurized.
Yeah, it's like that's weird. Like you can't sell it, but like it's supposed to be healthy or something.
Well, it's arguably healthier if it doesn't have anything bad in it. Like if it's not like infected or it's not like have any botulism or anything, yeah, it is better for you.
It's weird. Milk is weird. Milk science. Even though this is kind of a long episode, I do have one small little addendum, a post-school class, if you will, to kind of talk about here. Every week I meet up with a couple of friends of mine. Meet up on the internet, on the World Wide Web.
On the Grindr app.
No, not that one. That's a different group of friends. For the record, no, I don't. I don't do grinder stuff. I meet up like once a week, and I call it Weeb Club. I don't know that we have a name for it, but a couple of my friends wanted to learn Japanese, and they don't know that I know any Japanese. So to them, I'm equally newbie with them. We went through like the first Genki book together, just doing like a chapter a week, and then actually we took a lot of like break weeks and review weeks, but whatever. What we're doing now is kind of cool. There's a website that I want to recommend, and it's called, I think it's bilingualmanga.com. Pardon the click. Yeah, bilingualmanga.com. And we've been going through Yotsuba chapters. This site's so cool. They show the manga chapters in Japanese, and then they have a button that says like translate to English, and then you click it and all the text changes to English. It's so cool. You can like toggle back and forth, and that's what we've been going through. But what's even cooler about it is that you can highlight the text to like copy it. So if you have a pop-up dictionary in your browser, it works on it. It's so awesome. But that's really all I have to say for that Weeaboo Club, I guess. It's been kind of hard to kind of hide my power level, as you might imagine. You know, I know everything that they're struggling with, and I have to pretend to kind of not know
almost
everything.
Fluent at this point, and they're talking about like how to count to 10, and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, guys, it's really hard. Study your flashcards, like itadakimasu.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't do like any kind of flashcards or anything. They know that I like Anki and that I use it, so at least I have that covered as to why I'm progressing faster than they are, that kind of thing. Actually, this site that we're using is so nice because you can hover over the text. I have an excuse for knowing all the vocab. I just say, oh, according to my pop-up dictionary, this word means this. There's really no way to fit this in, but one of my friends he was asking, guys, does all the text look weird? Like it's stretching outside of the bubbles and stuff? His browser was auto-translating the Japanese text and like transposing it inside the bubbles. Maybe we can like throw this screenshot in the show notes or something. But there's a panel. It's so funny. It says, "Oh, big yeah." I don't know why, but that maybe
that sounds like a Japanese translation. Oh, big yeah.
It does. It does.
Really
it's like a Google
That's
translated like, "Oh, big yeah," and it's like the text is all caps, and it's like so big it's like coming outside of the speech bubble. It's such a funny picture. I need to send it to you, and then maybe we can put it somewhere in the thingies, and I don't know, whatever you do with the podcast stuff.
It's a lot of work, but maybe.
It's not much work.
Well,
to put a link.
It's more than I'm willing.
True, but I'll take my word for it. It's funny. Oh, big yeah, and I want that to be a thing, but it won't be a thing. Anyway, that's it. That's all my school stuff. So how about you educate me and the passengers about whatever stupid rom-com, loli, whatever we're talking about today.
Well, you know what I did in school. when I was in school, I busted out my Razr flip phone, and I would go on www.mangadex.com/loliromcoms.
You do this on your Razr phone.
On my Razr phone when that
Did they
was.
have browsers?
I feel like they had like original browsers, but anytime, like when I had that flip phone, anytime you'd go to the browser section, it'd be like you pop up with a warning every time. It's like data charges may apply. So I was always too scared to like do anything there because I'm afraid they'd charge you like $10 a web page. God forbid you want to read some manga where it's like they're going to charge you 20 cents, 25 cents per page.
Well, I don't even think you could, because I don't know that mine loaded pictures. Like I said, I also never used mine. I think it was like kind of like a text only and like very minimal styling, maybe not even pictures at all.
Could be very true.
It's a tiny screen, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if they loaded, and the resolution is trash. I don't know if they loaded pictures. I honestly don't know. It could have just been text. But if I did have a smartphone back then, I might be tempted to read manga. And if I was tempted to read manga, I might have the same trash tier taste that I have now, reading only.
You definitely did.
Action, comedy, ecchi, romance, school life, and supernatural mangas. If I were to go into those tabs, I might want to read Oroku na Tenshai wa Akuma to Orido, which also roughly translates as Stupid Angel Dances with the Devil, or The Foolish Angel Dances with the Demons. Either way, it's equally as seductive. Let's read the description. It's Atsuki has just transferred into a class in Japan from a long way away, all the way from hell to be exact. Atsuki, wow! Atsuki is a demon who's come to Earth to find someone who can motivate the forces of hell to fight back against the invading heavenly army. He immediately sets his sights on one of his classmates, the kind and beautiful Lily, but ends up way over his head when it comes, and it turns out Lily has some secrets of her own.
This is so painful, dude. Speed it up.
Tom, let me tell you what one of these secrets is. Lily is actually from the opposite of hell.
That was worded.
Oh no! Like that last bit was from me, but so the description's over. The painful description is over. But yeah, Lily's an angel. Akutsu, or whatever his name is, I can't pronounce Japanese names. We'll call him Toshiba from now on. I don't know. But like he's a demon, she's an angel. Let's get it on. This is a great manga.
I thought this was going to be like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. But based on chapter 1, which was like 80 pages, dude. Did you notice that? This is insane.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Based on chapter 1, it looked like it's going to be more like a girl dominates guy kind of BDSM type manga thing. Well,
it's not.
You know, it's just...
No, so it's not. So chapter 1 came out like 8 months ago. This is basically a year ago. And yeah. The page that was passed around all the time was like a picture of like the girl straddling the dude, and the dude was like choked in a collar, like he was a subservient dude. It was like super masochistic type of thing. I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm into this, but it gets so good and the faces are fantastic that this manga is something that you're going to want to check out. There's about 13.5 chapters of just pure greatness in this area. It's not masochistic, and it's just a fun little rom-com that will get you get your blood pumping, get the juices flowing.
Oh, wow.
Catch my drift.
So, yeah, like I said, chapter 1 seemed like BDSM kind of thing to me. But chapter 3 seemed like that one manga where they want to confess to each other.
Kaguya-sama, yes, exactly.
Yeah, is it kind of like every chapter's, they have a different dynamic? Because chapters 1, 2, and 3, it seems like their dynamic changed all the time.
Oh,
which doesn't make sense.
I don't want to... Did you only read the chapter 3?
Yeah, should I have read more?
Oh, it gets so... it's exactly what you pointed out, that their dynamic changes.
How is that good? That seems
because
like
it's entertaining.
Schizophrenic.
It's entertaining. It's because so many times you read a manga and the dynamic is set in stone, and it's just the comedic backdrafts of all of the side characters are what gives it variety. But this will go a character arc where the guy has the upper hand and he's like, yeah, I'm the boss. Like, I'm just playing with you. And then it's like the girl will like... It is like Kaguya-sama in the sense where they're like... It's like the death note of romance. Yeah. But it's like they'll go for a full couple chapters where like I'm in charge. Like, yeah, like I'm doing something that will totally seduce you. Like, I'm so best. And then it's like the guy will be like, nah, but I'm super charismatic. So like you'll definitely fall for me. Like things like that.
So that's kind of like what the whole thing is, because chapter 3 was really heavy on that, where they had like a boxing match metaphor, and it's like they went through like 20 different little like, help me carry my books, and it's like, I'll make her fall for me by carrying her paper, and or it's like I'll make him fall for me by accidentally falling into his lap. It's like there were like 20 of those gags, but you're saying that's kind of like the whole manga.
I wish you would have read more. Yeah. In fact. And those characters even do carry on. For her, it's a cat that's boxing, and for him, it's a wolf that's boxing. And they do carry on later on, and it just gets more intense and more exciting. You've got maybe, I think I said before, 13.5 chapters of kind of like Kaguya-sama wants to be confessed to manga, where they're trying to get each other to fall in love with each other, but they're both clearly like, I mean, they both like each other, but
do they? Because
I mean, it depends, because they are also demons and they can't fall like that. But It is very interesting. It's a very interesting read to read. And if you like the rom-com style of manga, this is definitely something you've probably already read. But if you haven't, I definitely recommend checking it out, because one of the things that really attracted me to it in the first place is not only the fun story and the fun writing, character archetype, but the art is superb. And the one pages that you can like rip from each chapter, just be like, whoa, I want to see what's in the rest of that chapter, are significant. You can find one in almost every chapter. You can find a page that's like, will definitely draw your attention.
See, maybe I was kind of speed reading through is why I didn't pick up on that. But I mean, there were definitely a few visual gags that kind of caught my eye. Like one of them, in one reaction panel, the girl looks like SpongeBob, which is kind of weird.
That is true, yes. Yeah. Well, it's a very self-aware, it's a very current manga, and it's very self-aware in the sense, like,
right.
It knows what's funny, it knows what's a trope, and it knows, like, what's going to be an interesting panel. I forgot that she does do a SpongeBob meme at one time, which is pretty funny. And I mean, I feel like it's current, even though I know SpongeBob is like over a decade old, which is...
SpongeBob could probably drink legally if he were a person.
Oh my God. I don't want to think about that.
I'm exaggerating, but I bet he could vote at least.
Yeah, SpongeBob came out in 1999, which...
Yeah.
How old did that make him now? Like 37?
Like 19 years. Like 19.
Well, he's legal to drink in Europe.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I do get your point. Like there's a lot of funny visual panels and stuff. Like in chapter 1, there was one where it's like, it shows her getting kidnapped, taken into some kind of shady looking van by some shadowy figure. And she's saying, big cars are fun. Like she's oblivious to the fact that she's getting kidnapped. It's, it's a one-off tiny little panel. But I do get your point that the art's pretty good and that there's a lot of good little comedy bits. But I don't know. It's just something about it. Maybe the fact that I'm not into rom-com stuff. It just doesn't seem like it would stay good for that long.
It stays really good. And it's something that I read religiously when it comes out. This girl, Lily, is like, hits a lot on
she seems too much of like the bully archetype.
No, she's not. No, because it like definitely when you get past like chapter 4, it like completely switches. And the dude, for the last like at least 5 chapters, the dude totally has an upper hand. She enacts a plan where she's gonna like just completely do all the archetypes and make him like completely fall for her. And she's like falling down the stairs, and then there's a whole page where the dude like dramatically catches her and keeps her from doing that plan, and he's like, oh, you need to be more careful, don't make me worry. And he makes her fall for him like just way harder than like it's so great. I love almost everything about this manga, and the art is fantastic, the side characters are great. Main girl Lily is like fires on all cylinders on my type of girl. So
it's just one more thing on the power balance issues. In chapter 1, she puts like a not a crown, I've been thinking too much about that.
Collar.
She puts a collar on him, which is kind of like, it controls his powers a bit, and like she can even make his body move like a puppet. See, that to me, that's a power imbalance, unless he gets something similar to like put on her.
I don't want to spoil anything, but the power imbalance probably towards where I'm at now in the series lean towards him.
Wow. See, that's very interesting to me. And that's not the implication that's set up in the first three.
No, the first chapter is like super masochistic.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with like it makes him almost like his facial expressions are that of a woman towards the end. Like he's just like
at one point
he's like a
step on me, he says, and it's like really weird fetishistic stuff.
Yeah, and when I first read that, I did not follow up with the manga. And I was like, ugh, I don't want to see this. Like, I'm not really big into being tortured. But
yeah, I know.
Totally pulls it around. It's a completely different manga after the first chapter. they're like masochistic on each other, if that makes sense. But it's not even masochistic at this point. Like he completely like woos her, and if anything, he's in the lead in the past 5-6 chapters. So it's definitely worth reading past the first couple chapters if you're into that sort of rom-com thing.
Yeah, definitely. I would say get past chapter 3 then, because that's kind of where I left off, and it seems like he can hold his own a little bit, but it does not give the implication yet that he would surpass her at times.
Yeah, so he's in the past couple chapters, he's kicking her butt at least. Like he's totally, and that's what I like about it. I mean, in reality, it's rare that you're gonna see the girl like being so masochistic, but you really get into the great gender dynamics with these two characters, and it's something I can appreciate. And the art, like I said, is just fantastic.
Well, this was, I pulled it up to say like who scanlates it to give proper credit, but it looks like there's been like 4 different groups who have worked on this over the year. So chapter 1 was like a joint thing from Psylocke Scans and Underdog Scans, and then what was it, like chapter 2 through 8, 9, 10, whatever. 2 through 10 was Cyril Zaru, and then everything since has been Valhalla Scanlation. So shout outs to you guys, I guess. And
yeah, I hope you guys continue. This is a fantastic little manga to scanlate with over 100,000 views. So I hope you guys take it with the proper reverence that it should. If not, we're gonna have to pick it up and keep going with it. So
not me. We'll have to find another scanlator.
I'll have to scanlate it on my own, which will just basically be a rewrite with like old dog style. Like I'm just gonna make up my own words.
We'll have to Google Translate it. Every other panel will be, oh, big yeah.
Be like like Duang style.
Yeah. Yeah, I would read that. I would read that over the official scans or unofficial scans, whatever.
All right, so speaking of that, how many big guy thumbs up would you give it?
I don't know. What out of what? I'm going to give it like a pretty modest low rating because it's not my genre. If what you said is true, then that would increase my rating, but I'm not going to read it. I mean, realistically, I won't probably read it any further to find out. It's just not my genre, sadly.
Dude, it's like good. It's like it definitely gets a blue out of green rating for me.
Yeah, I mean, it seems good if you like the genre.
And if you like any type of action or any type of comedy, any type of ecche, any type of romance.
Like getting dominated by a blonde lily girl.
I don't want to.
I know. I'm just
no. Well, like seriously, I don't want to. If you like them, like to be the sub of the M, I don't recommend this because it's not that. Like the first chapter is very like that, but none of the other chapters are going to be like that. If you're masochistic, this is not going to be beneficial to you. In fact, because the dude completely flips the script, like he becomes the dominant in the relationship. So it's
how about this? You read chapter 1 and then you drop it if that's what you're into.
If that's what you're into, if you're into,
so if you like chapter 1, don't continue. But if you don't like it, then read forward.
Maybe, yeah. If you like it, but it also goes back and forth. It's like because personally, I like when the girl is like on the ropes, like that. That's what I like. So
you like to tease, not be teased.
Yeah.
I feel like a good waifu is very bullyable.
Oh man, yeah. That's giving me hot and bothered here, but absolutely. So I think this is a monthly, or at least it's been released monthly. So, unfortunately, that's what you're going to have to do. But I definitely recommend checking out Stupid Angel Dances with the Devil. It's a great little manga.
Where else can they read great mangas? Haha, look at that segue.
Dude, you could also read great mangas at bit.ly/the big guy for you.
I guess, yeah, technically, I guess if that link works.
It does, yeah. Well, with the number 4 and the letter U.
All right.
I said it properly
is that
that
a
time.
link to the manga decks?
That's a link to our manga decks, correct. It's bit.ly/
Big guy for you, I think. That's what you said.
Yeah, you can also find us on the YouTube. You can either Google Big Guy for You, the letter 4 and the number U, or you can Google the Flight Plan Podcast. You can also check us out on anchor.fm, the Flight Plan, with a hyphen in between each of those letters.
Originally I was going to put out chapter 1 of a new series this week, but I think I might have to postpone to next week just due to scheduling conflicts. Look out for it whenever it comes out. The
more comments you leave on the YouTube videos and the podcast, the quicker it will come out, and you'll be just excited to see it. I'm pumped to see the new scanlation that we're doing. You guys are pumped to see it. So just hit all those likes, hit all those comments, leave us some good stuff, feedback. That's maybe unironically true, adding, because I guess I do get spurred on by comments to a degree. Next week is the latest it'll come out. We do, though. Unironically, it's if you see more comments, I'm definitely more likely to make more clip videos or to do more things. So we'll definitely do more. The more feedback. I know it's actually kind of a reverse thing, because we get more feedback the more work I do, not the opposite, if that makes sense. We've been getting less comments since I've been doing less clips. Which really makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't really make me think at all. I mean, it seems pretty standard. No, well, I mean, it's like if we had really excellent feedback, then you want to do more. But motivation always comes after the act rather than before. Well, whatever. We could probably cut this. It's kind of boring, but it's motivational. You know what else is motivational? Let me guess. Crashing the podcast. With no survivors. Well, you didn't ask how many. You didn't do your thing. I feel jilted here. Well, if you weren't gonna feel jilted, how many survivors would you want on the? Oh, podcast? The magic is gone. I can't do it anymore. But hypothetically speaking, I would say with no survivors. No survivors.